we kind of had, we always had this sort of reviving legends thing. And then we had this cybersecurity focus, but then we also started doing some of these other comics that were not necessarily cybersecurity focused, but it was like Nazi punching. So, it was half cybersecurity, half Nazi punching. And now we're really branching out into just old stuff that Ben and Alan like. But I don't think that's a great tagline for a company. But, I read the story, and then I read about the story. So The Conjure-Man Dies is the first African-American detective story written by an African-American. So it was written in 1932, and it was written at the sort of the height of the Harlem Renaissance. And it was one of these books that became world-renowned for being just, intimately tied to the Harlem Renaissance. And then over the years, it's just kind of forgotten, along with the author, Rudolph Fisher. And so I'm like, this is such a cool murder mystery, and we love detective noir. So it fits in our wheelhouse as far as that goes. We're like, we think we can make this into a viable comic. Now, we also wanted to be kind of like when we did The Clock. Our Clock superhero is Native American, so we reached out to a Native American writer to write it and a Native American artist to do the art. Same thing here. It's not that we can't do it. We just felt it was better if the story was in somebody else's hands. And so, so we have African-American artists and cover artists and colorists and so on working on the story. But it's a really cool detective story in and of itself. But also, I love the Harlem Renaissance art. I love that feel. And so getting to recreate some of that to tell this story was really important to us.
That's why I chose this cover for our thumbnail. Let's bring that back up. Because that says the time period right there.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, my God. I mean, I love that so much. Ben, I'm sorry I didn't have you on there. I thought we were going to...
That's okay.
I think we did that last time, too.
I'm just his emotional support editor. Like, I just kind of like roll up. Like, we were like, okay, who's going to be the mean one today? Who's going to be the nice one today on the podcast? So we just got each other's back. So he's the big cheese, the head honcho. So
I think I did that to you last year too.
It's okay, man. It's like
throwing yourself under the bus.
Let's go over the covers here. Now that's the only cover that I scoped. I scoop was that one because it just talked to me about the character. It talked to me about the time period. How did you go about choosing who was going to work on the book? How did you go about choosing what artist was? And then I also want to talk about the Kickstarter itself, which you can find a link to it in the description of this episode. Whether you're watching it now, watching it later, or listening to it wherever you find your podcast. That description is right there. The link to the Kickstarter is there. It's already funded, dude. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky in that, we've never had a Kickstarter not fund, and I was worried about Kickstarter number 13, but within 12 hours we were funded. So
wow.
Lucky number I know, and then lucky number 13. You guys pull it off in 12 hours. The support of your fans is like so cool. But how did you guys go about? I think this is a question for Ben. How did you pull your team together for these books? I know you went to African American artists and writers, but how did you actually seek them out and say, okay, we want this one, we want this one, we want this one? That style is going to be, because I saw pages from the book from the Kickstarter.
This is actually an Alan question.
Oh, it is an Alan question.
I am an editor. I do editing, so like Alan does all of the project management. When I say he's the head honcho, I am not messing around. He is personally involved in everything.
When we talk about the other thing, Ben can talk more about that.
Okay, good. Okay.
Ben, all right. Ben has been much more intimately involved, whether he wants to be or not. So the first two were easy. Keith Williams, who we've worked with before, in fact, he did the cover of that Johnny Dollar book. Mm-hmm. Keith Williams, huge fan. I've been a fan of him for decades now. So, and he's worked with us on so many things. So that was easy. Sean Martinborough, who does Red Hood and has done a few others. He's local to us in the DC area, so we've worked with him before. Then that was easy. And then I love Georges Genti, who did the cover that you're featuring here. He's done some really cool stuff, I think, with Daredevil and with a few others. And so, he was another one to reach out to. And then Afua Richardson's not somebody that we worked with before, but she came in highly recommended. And I loved her work in Temporal, which is a Mad Cave series that's been out for a while. And so I was like, yes, absolutely. And in fact, the colorist for this book is DJ Chavez, who also did the coloring work for Temporal. So I was like, okay, great. And then the main artist, Darren Soto, is actually we've worked with Brian Tillman, who's a professor of comics at a local college, and he had recommended Darren to us as somebody if we were looking for an artist. And we didn't really have a project at the time. And when this came up, I went to Darren and I'm like, hey man, you ready to take on the whole comic book? And he said, yes. And then it turns out that it's not quite as easy when it's somebody else's work, but then that's fine. Like, it's been great working with him, and as he kind of builds this out and is done. I mean, his art has been absolutely fantastic, but I think he overestimated how quickly he could get the stuff done compared to like when you're doing your own versus when you have to go through an editorial process. And then for writing, David Marriott, who's worked with Boom and who's worked with Boom and Dark Horse and a few others. We wanted to work with him because we really wanted, since this was kind of a new crew for us, we wanted a writer who had that kind of not just writing experience, but also directing experience, if you will. So that's kind of how we pulled the team together.
Nice. I mean, because that one cover, the cover that we featured, it reminded me of Harlem Nights, the Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy film, and I was like, all right, that's the thumbnail. That's what I have to use for these guys.
It's such an incredible cover. It's funny because you think Harlem Nights. I'm a little bit older than you, so I thought Cotton Club, but but basically same thing. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, it is wow. So with the character itself, what was the final nail to bring? Only I say that only because of the title.
Yeah,
that was like, all right, we are definitely going to bring this on, and we are going to throw this out there, and we're going to see what sticks, how it goes. You came up with the guts of the story. Cat butt. You came up with the guts of the story. You gave it over to the writer. When you finally got to read the story, how did it make you feel?
So, I will tell you that the main character's name in here, in the original story, which is one of the hooks for me, is John Archer. And I'm like, okay, that is, okay, that we got to do that. But it's in a weird way, it's an early prototype of buddy cop movies because John Archer is brought in as sort of the scientific expert, but Perry Dart is the detective that works for the that works for the New York City Police, and they kind of have to work together, but they have very different views of things, and so I always like a good buddy cop story. And and that is what attracted to me. And it's fun to do a true murder mystery. We haven't really done one of those, which is why I've been really careful with showcasing the art, because there are twists and turns in here, and I've got to make sure I don't give away anything in any of the twists and turns. In fact, like I did an update today, and I made sure I removed the dialogue from the update so that you can see how cool the art is without understanding kind of what's happening. So I want to preserve the joy of the mystery. And actually, I'm really proud of all of our backers because from a bulk bookstore, we ordered We ordered 50 copies of the actual book to go with the comic, and we put that together as a bundle. We sold through all of those
Nice.
in
awesome.
the first day. So people not only want to read our comic interpretation, they do want to read the original book, or at least they want to have it on their bookshelf or on their TBR pile. TBR pile.
That is incredible. All right, so Kickstarter's funded, but you know this. We talked about this the last time you guys were on. Let's talk about those tiers. Let's talk about the rewards. Let's talk about all that. What did you guys have to offer this time around for the guys that aren't running over to the Kickstarter right now? Because I'm not telling them not to go. Go! Just donate. Still donate, man. Just put some more money into that kitty because you want to get that book. Get the book. Don't wait for it. Just go. Add some because there's still stuff to get. What do they have to offer? What do you guys have to offer this time around?
So it's funny. One of the things, because Darren works Darren works on paper, like he's old school. Even though he's, and I know he'd hate me calling this, but compared to how old I am, he's a kid. So for somebody that young, he works on paper. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, can we have 5 of your, 5 of the 32 original art pieces? Those were gone in the first 5 minutes. Like that was the thing that people nabbed first. And I was like, damn it, I should have asked for 10, but I wanted to respect his ability to sell and make money from those later. So I appreciated him giving those up. You showcased how amazing all the different covers are. So whether you are a fan of Sean Martinborough or Georges Genti or Phil Richardson, there's some really cool and amazing covers there. And then there's a chance to get all of our other comics and so on. But we've actually gone through a lot of the really cool high end tiers. But also, if you just are interested in the story, our digital backing starts at $5. Like $5, you get a digital copy, and delivers that in a PDF that you can read anywhere, anytime. I mean, you can even print it out and make your own comic book if you really want to.
There you go, man. It's on the ball. Look at that. Our mods, our moderators, are just awesome. Look at that right there. There's your link. Okay. Now, once again, if you're listening to this, okay, if you're listening to this, not now, but in the future, if you're listening to this, the link to this is in the description of the episode. Click that link. Go to the Kickstarter. When does the Kickstarter end, boys?
I think 12 days from now, maybe 13 days from now. We always do 21 days for our Kickstarters because blackjack. Honestly, we do it because I'm a coward, and you get that middle part of your Kickstarter where nobody backs for a couple days, and you start panicking. And so if you make it 21 instead of 30, that middle part where that plateau is 13 days.
I was just looking it up. Lucky 13.
Yeah.
Well, this is Lucky 13. I mean, God, you did it in 12 hours, and it's the 13th Kickstarter. This is just, it's insane.
Now I wish we had done it in 13 hours instead of 12. We could have just had that.
That's funny.
Hey, it's 1:30. We got to take our first break for our first partner. And Sophia, do you want to tell everyone what our first partner is all about?
Yes, the Erica Legacy Foundation is a foundation where they help people that are mentally or emotionally distressed. So if you or anyone that you know is going through a hard time, please reach out to the Erica Legacy Foundation. They are an amazing foundation that helps hundreds of people in need.
All right. Hey.
It's now time for Quiz with Quimsel.
And Sophia on the beat, we turning heads, bringing heat to the street. Get ready now, it's our time to shine. Feel the rhythm, every move is divine. Feel the madness, it's a party in your soul. Feel the madness, let the good times roll. Feel the madness, come and join the ride.
All right, guys. The question of today is, who was the first person to win Survivor?
The first person to win Survivor. Boys, you go first. Alan is starstruck.
I'm afraid I don't watch Survivor. I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay, because
Ben?
No, not a Survivor person.
Okay,
So
okay.
Isn't there a guy named Richard?
That's what I think, but I'm not sure. I think it is the Richard guy, but I don't